Hey crew, welcome to this week's topic. This week we're talking about landscape success, the very subjective, objective topic for how you look at your landscape. Your version of landscape success may be a little different than mine. So let's take a look. Let's delve into it. A little bit of warning and disclaimer here. This particular topic may make you think very highly of what you have, or it may kind of go, maybe there's some room for improvement. That's what education is all about. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started, shall we? Hey, I'm Matt. You can call me Coach. Every Friday I bring with me landscape DIY education, concepts and theories, ideas and solutions, so you guys can go out and tackle a landscape project yourself, get professional results, save a whole lot of money in the process, and in this day and age, be a lot more self-reliant. Man, after a 20-plus year career in the green industry, I'm bringing with me a lot of knowledge and experience that I want to share with you guys, the new, modern, educated, self-reliant homeowner of today. Again, welcome. Let's clarify a few terms before we get started. First term is subjectivity. I will put the definition right here on the screen. The other one is objectivity. I'll put that definition right here as well. These terms kind of come into play with this particular topic. It really does. And my last definition, my last term is success. What exactly is success? Because to everybody, it's a little bit different. But as we apply it to landscape success, there's a few various elements of the landscape that we have to look at, and we have to look at ourselves and how we approach the landscape to determine whether our landscape is a success, whether it fits the neighborhood, whether we have that house, or do we have that house. All depends on your point of view. Let's get started. You know, over the years, I was very, very fortunate when I was much younger that I had some mentors in my life that really I look back on very fondly as far as how they kind of steered me to a version of landscape success as I became a homeowner, not once, but 5 or 6 times over. And they kind of instilled a certain expectational bar, shall we say, that I kind of had to meet. And if I look back on, if this 63-year-old coach looks back on that 23-year-old coach and the first house that I had, I would look back on that now with fondness. But as far as a landscape success, being a brand new homeowner, relatively new to landscaping, I would say, yeah, there was room for improvement there. You know, there was some good functionality, good aesthetics. It met the neighborhood requirements, shall we say. But I could have done some things differently had I looked back. But that's what 40 plus years of experience gives you, right? So I look at that as a success on one level, but certainly not a success on the level that I would apply nowadays. So how do you guys look at landscape success? How do you view your yard and your livability, shall we say, of your landscape? Drop me a comment and let me know. Drop me an email at the email address that's always there and let me know where you guys are at on your landscape success scale. Here's one thing that I have seen on a virtually regular basis over my career, and that is DIYers. DIYers look at their landscape in a much different version of success than people who just have a landscape installed. And let me explain that a little bit. Have you ever noticed how people who do things themselves, whether they are a craftsman with wood or a painter or anything that they have taken the time to plan, prepare, and execute, you notice how they value it a lot more? You notice how they take care of it once it's there a lot more. And the longevity and the pristineness of it is longer than, say, someone who goes and finances a car for 3 years, or they lease a car for 3 years. They don't quite take care of it. It's almost like a rental car, you know, but you saved up the money for the down payment, or you saved the entire amount. And then you went and got that car or that truck or that motorcycle or that boat under your own power, under your own steam, from your own monthly income. You notice how you take care of it just a little bit more? That's what I saw a lot. I saw people take $35,000, $40,000 and throw it into a landscape. They'd write those checks and they really liked it when it was all done and they had the flagship of the neighborhood. And they boasted and they received their accolades from their neighbors. But in about 2 years or so, long after the honeymoon phase is over with, I used to drive by those places because I used those jobs as references for future work. And there was many times, 6 months, 12, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, people did not take care of them. Now granted, sometimes people moved away, I understand that, but for the most part, a lot of times people would put it under professional care or they would do things themselves. They just did not take care of it, as opposed to those folks who did it under their own power with a little bit of consultation and design help. Just a mystery, human mystery. I don't totally understand it, but I saw it a lot. So from a professional standpoint, can somebody have a nice landscape and consider it a success even though it's not fancy? You goddamn right you can. You really can. All you have to do is just maintain it on a regular basis. Give it some love once a month at a minimum and fertilize it. Maybe have some color accents, maybe have nice clean walkways, a nice siding on the house, and everything looks like there's been an attentive, loving care put to it on a regular basis. Is that a successful landscape? You're damn right it is, and kudos to all those who do that. Now, on the other side of that scale, on the other side, Coach is going to be as politically correct as he can be here. There's those who just don't flat give a damn. And they don't give a damn about what their place looks like. They don't give a damn about how their house is, that house in the neighborhood. Their priorities are different. Is it illegal? Hell no. Is it immoral? Not necessarily. It really isn't. But their priorities may be somewhere else. Maybe their priorities are with a sick loved one that they have to constantly take care of, full-time care type of thing. And the yard, that's just not going to be a high priority. Or maybe it's something totally different. Maybe they're really into music or into their career and their yard is just, I'll get to it, or I'll hire the teenage kid down the street or whatever. Or maybe it's their vehicles. I have been to many people's homes over the years where the vehicles are just the schnizzle, and the yard, you couldn't find the front door. But they had the most beautiful, most highly tuned machine to go to and from work that I'd ever seen. But I was there because they had a shift in priorities, and now they wanted to sell and move, and they suddenly realized, wow, we let this place go way too long. So they called Coach, and I'd come in and redesign and redo, and then they would sell and move on. But there you go. You have various versions of landscape success, which really brings back to the subjective or the objective points of view. It all depends. Now, what the Smiths across the street look at your house, maybe they have opinions of whether you're a landscape success or not, because the Smiths, they got the best of the best. They got the brand new cars, they got the beautiful pool, fanciest lighting, blah, blah, blah. They're just the Smiths. What are you going to do about the Smiths? What you need to realize is you're a landscape success all to yourself as long as you're putting the effort and the resources that you can afford and the time that you have available. You keep up what you can keep up. That's a landscape success in my book. And if that's you, kudos, good job. Keep up the good work. And if you really like to keep up with various things, every once in a while, throw a weekend project in. Throw some color bowls out in the springtime. Do some things that just kind of keep up with the trends. That way, if you ever decide to retire, you ever decide to move on to another home, You got something that is presentable, and you're not having to go spend tens of thousands of dollars to get the house in order to sell, because you've always done that incremental, constant maintenance that a homeowner has to do to keep your home at tip-top shape to get the tip-top value for it. I can remember having Weed Patch Ranch for the 6-7 years that we were there. And when we got it, it was that house in the neighborhood. It really was. It was aesthetically about as pleasing to look at as an empty field, because that's basically what it was. 2 houses set in an empty field with a dilapidated olive orchard. And over the years, and tens upon tens of thousands of dollars, and the same amount of hours put into it, we had a nice place. We really did. Would I do something to that scale now? Probably not. That phase of my life is kind of in the rearview mirror. Unless it was something where, my God, you just couldn't financially pass it up. If I did get a piece of property, and if I did $50,000 worth of landscape and I knew I was going to get $150,000 in value, yeah, I might do it again. But right now, smaller is better. Scaled down version of living is more along our style, and that's what we're always looking at, is do the least amount of effort and financial expenditure and get the biggest bang for your buck. That's what I suggest a lot of people do nowadays. You don't have to be the Smiths across the street. And for many of my neighbors out west now, landscape success may be coming in the form of far less maintenance, and even more important, far less water consumption. Don't forget about that. The big lawns out west nowadays, big lawns are a thing of the past. There are city parks and county parks that are going dry, dead turf areas, because they just cannot afford to use that kind of water anymore. So if you guys are out west, for any of my viewers out west, and I don't mean you up in Washington, you guys have water, but use it conservatively. But those down in the arid California, Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, Utah, Texas, extreme, exceptional droughts right now, yeah, everything should be lawnless, and everything should be drip irrigated, and you should be selecting your plant material so that you don't even have to drip it very often. I'm not saying everything has to be cactus, but you have to do some due diligence and some planning in your plant selection so that you have the kind of landscape that is successful considering the environment you're in. Landscape success. Is yours a landscape success? Do you consider yourself a landscape successful homeowner? Drop me a comment. It's all I got for you this week. As always, to your guys' landscape success, do me a favor, help coach out a little bit. Go over and visit the website. Take a look at the ebook. Don't forget the 15-step giveaway. It's always there. And the flagship Homescape 1.0. I look forward to talking with you next week. We're back on the mend after a little COVID bout, and we are ready and willing, and every week back on Fridays. I'll catch you guys next week. To your landscape success, take care.